Hey there, Ashique. So let's take a look at this essay that you've written for us. Let's see. Sugar consumption is unhealthy. Some people are of the opinion that government should handle this issue. Others believe that it is the individual's responsibility to tackle this problem. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, fine. So, all right, so discuss both views. So let's see what you said. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether it is the government's responsibility, here needed an apostrophe S, responsibility to reduce sugar consumption, or if, you're missing an if here, it is the individual's responsibility. Okay, you're missing that here. This essay will discuss both sides using examples to demonstrate points and prove arguments. I believe even though, which is two words, the government has some responsibility in reducing sugar consumption, more responsibility is the individual's own to reduce sugar intake. All right, I would have preferred if you had reversed the order of these sentences. I think it would have been more appropriate. Okay, little grammar mistakes. I can pretty much say that each sentence had a grammatical mistake. Okay, nothing tragically wrong, but still, looking at it, I think, okay, there are three sentences and each sentence had a grammatical mistake, okay? So here we were missing a word. Here, okay, yeah, here you didn't really have a mistake because it was pretty much something that's fine. And then here you wrote, even though incorrectly, is the individual's own. So you had some consistent errors. All right, let's move on. There is ample evidence that reducing sugar intake is the government's apostrophe S responsibility because they are responsible for awareness and policies regarding the health benefits and harms of taking sugar. You don't take sugar. It's not a drug. You consume sugar. Okay? So that would have been a better word here. The public only follows the information they are provided. For example, FDA published in favor of sugar consumption only after the government changed their policy. Did brands like Pepsi and Cola, I think you mean Coke? Cola is not a brand. So Pepsi and Coke introduced, now careful here with your grammar, you've tried to do something grammatically advanced, but unfortunately it falls flat because it's a mistake. Look at this. Only after governments changed their policies did brands like Pepsi and Coca-Cola introduce, you can't put a D here, sugar-less products of their own. Okay, now sugar-less is also inaccurate. It needs to be sugar-free. All right? Therefore, it is conclusively clear that government has some responsibility in reducing sugar consumption. Okay. It's a little brief for me. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. It's a little brief. I think you should have developed this a little more. Okay. So essentially, I would have liked an additional main idea here. Something like, not only does the government publish warnings, but the government also allows which foods and beverages are going to be put into the market. Therefore, they are in control of what consumers have available to them. So if they allow foods and beverages with lots of sugar, only the government can be blamed for this. Okay, so that's something I would have wanted to see here as well in order for you to get one of those higher band scores. Here you've touched on the topic, you've dealt with it, but it's clearly not very developed. Okay? Now, although there are benefits, of government actions on reducing sugar intake, the impact of individual responsibility cannot be ignored. I wouldn't have referred to the benefits of it. I would have, I don't know how appropriate this is, because we didn't really talk about the benefits entirely, but just the fact that there is government responsibility. So instead, I would have said here, although governments clearly have some responsibility for reducing sugar intake, ultimately the responsibility of the individual cannot be ignored. That's how I would have phrased this, because we're not talking about benefits and disadvantages here, okay? This is largely because if an individual takes as voluntary efforts, it provides much better results than involuntary efforts. Okay. For instance, a recent empirical research should be study showed that 9 out of 10 people who made voluntary decisions provided 15% better results than forced ones. Voluntary decisions about what? About their diet and their consumption, or just in general in terms of life? So that's a little vague. Due to this fact, it is clear that individual decisions provide much better results in reducing sugar consumption than government policies. Okay. I also would have liked to see something maybe about personal freedom, liberty, maybe free will rather than being forced. I mean, you could have gotten a little more theoretical here and talked about those things. Oh, so again, for me, it's an issue of how well you're developing this. Now, I don't really quite remember what score you needed for your IELTS, but if you are aiming at one of those higher scores, like an 8 or a 9, you do have to develop it a little more fully. In fact, look at what I'll do. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled up the band descriptors for you. All right, now band 9 says you fully address all parts of the task, like a fully developed position with fully extended and well-supported answers. The 8 says that you sufficiently address all parts of the task, okay, again, with a well-developed response, okay, relevant, extended, and supported ideas. Now, of course, this is the public version. The one that the examiners has is a little more detailed from what I've been told. Even the 7, you present and extend and support main ideas. Maybe there's a little overgeneralization, but it's still all parts of the task. It's a well-developed position nonetheless, okay? So this is why I point this out to you. All right, so let's take a look at your conclusion. To conclude, comma, it is clear that even though the government policies have some effect in reducing sugar intake in the form of informing, it is the individual's apostrophe S responsibility. No, let's try it again. It is individual, not get rid of the, it is individual responsibility that is more effective in reducing sugar consumption. That would have worked. Okay, so some grammatical problems. For me, again, I would have liked to have seen a little more development just to get you up there a little higher in terms of task achievement. But a lot of the vocabulary is very good. No real problems there. The structure is great. No issues there at all. Okay, so let's take a look at what you said in your letter. Okay, let me see if I can change this. Okay, you're inviting your friend to watch a movie with you on your country. Okay, how he will benefit. Fine. Dear Raj, how are you? Hang on a second. Now, let's talk a little bit about punctuation, Ashique, shall we? So, question mark after how are you, and then if the question mark goes directly after the word, you leave a space, and then you start your sentence with a capital H. And then, again, question mark here. All right, so I don't know what happened here. Dear Raj, how are you? How is your family? I'm writing this letter to invite you to watch a movie about my country. This movie is a C.H. Nolan movie. I know you are a big fan of C.H. Nolan movies. Okay, should have capitalized the H here, no? This movie will help you for your project that you mentioned. Space, capital I. It will help you to gather great ideas, S, about my country's culture, apostrophe S, culture. Since you will be visiting me next month, this will be an excellent opportunity to watch the movie. I will not take no for an answer. Free your dates for this. Okay. We can watch the movie at PVR Theaters on January 2nd at 5 p.m. Yours truly. Comma here, Ashique, after yours truly. Okay. Why he will benefit. All right, fine. You covered the bullets, and that's fine. I'm glad you did that. But again, it's a little underdeveloped. I feel like you You got the job done, you covered the bullets, and then you were out of there. So there's no real extension of this. You mentioned that the movie's about your country, but you give absolutely no details. All you tell us is that your friend is a big fan of this person's movies. You tell us that it will help your friend with his project, right? Yeah. So couldn't you have extended any of that a little bit? All right. Remember that even task 1 needs you to stretch out and embellish and give some detail. Okay, so now I didn't do a word count, although I have to be honest with you and tell you that it did feel a little short. I also felt that your closing of the letter was a little sudden. Okay, so we can watch the movie at PVR Theaters on January 2nd at 5 p.m. So shouldn't you have said some more sort of additional closing here? Like, I can't wait to have this experience with you, and I look forward to your positive response, or I look forward to talking with you about the details of where to meet, etc., etc. So some sort of closing. It just all felt really sudden to me. Okay, and again, I thought you should have said a little bit more about the movie. I felt there were details missing. Okay, so do you have more essay corrections with us? I'm not entirely sure, but before we do that, since we were talking about band scores, take a look at this. Now, I do realize that some of this feels like it's more relevant to task 1, academic, but it doesn't matter. Take a look at it anyway. Presents a clear purpose with the tone consistent and appropriate. Clearly presents and highlight key features, bullet points, but could be more fully extended. Yeah, yeah, definitely could be more fully extended. So you you provided them, but you didn't really extend them. Now, take a look at how that differs from a band 6, where it says, you present and adequately highlight bullet points, but the details may be irrelevant, inappropriate, or inaccurate. Now, there's no irrelevance or inappropriateness or inaccuracy, but I definitely felt like you could have extended them. Okay, so keep that in mind. I hope we have more essays from you. I'm not really sure, but let's see what you do have, and I look forward to seeing more of them in the future.